A lot of designers I see get stuck at the same designation for a really long period of time. And I've seen that happen around me, and I've seen that happen with me as well. I was stuck at the same designation for over 4 years. So I wanted to make a video about that. Hi, my name is Ujjwal, and welcome to Ujjwal X Design. It has been a while. The work has kept me busy. My team has been growing, and yeah, I always wanted to come back and I wanted to talk about design because I love to do that. So in today's video, I want to talk about what different levels or designations mean for a product designer. And I hope by the end of this video, you're able to plan for your growth and you're able to assess at which of these levels do you fit in. And if you're just starting out as a designer, this gives you a holistic picture of what different roles and responsibilities look like in your career as you move forward. All right, let's get started. Most of us start as an intern. So, what should a design intern be doing in their internship? First and foremost, try to make yourself visible. As an intern, mostly you'll be tagged along with another designer, or your contribution may be grouped together as a unit. So make sure your individual contribution or impact is visible to key stakeholders, and try to make an impact. Even if those are small wins, try to make that impact in whichever way possible. And while all of this is happening, make sure you're documenting your work. All right. Most importantly, have a very clear communication with your manager about what you want to achieve out of the internship. Now, it could be an impactful project that you're going for, or you're looking for a conversion. Now, whichever these two things are, have a very clear communication. If you're going for conversion, make sure that that conversation is not happening too late in that internship. Ask about what are the things that company is looking for you to get conversion when it actually is time for you to convert from an intern to a full time. Now let's talk about full time roles. I'm going to use a couple of definitions here. One will be a level, and one is the corresponding designation. Now, for some companies, these designations could be different because some companies may start with an associate level, or some companies may start with a product designer one level. So you can make that distinction based on whichever context you put it into. All right. So for this particular video, let's start with an associate product designer or a level 1 designer. So what is expected out of you at a level 1? I think the moment you join full time, there will be people who will start depending upon you. So if you're given a task, you are expected to then follow up versus the other way around. All right. And this is also the time when you learn to start giving correct deadlines. And of course, as you gain more experience, you get better at it. But still, if you've given a deadline to somebody, so before they come and ask you what happened, you go to them. And I think that is very basic sanity level behavior. You should also try to assess yourself, so as to where you are and what are the things that you're good at and what are the things that you can get better at. I think at a level 1 or an associate level, there can be tremendous growth that can happen for you as a designer. So this is a great time for you to have that reflection. You could be a great visual designer but not that good at documenting things, or the other way around. You could be great at structuring a problem statement, but you could still be lacking those skill set for you to have great visual design skills. So set goals for yourself, and if possible, have that discussion with your manager that these are the things that you want to improve upon in this set duration of time. What this will do is you will have some actionable items apart from the work that you're doing, that you're working on yourself. I also believe that this is also the time for you to make sure that you're very, very comfortable with the tool, and you also practice speed at which you work, because when you start your career, you may be slightly slower, but as you gain more experience, speed is always going to be a non-issue. And also remember one thing: speed is never going to be your quality. The quality of work is always going to be the quality at which you will be judged upon. But if you have speed, you will be able to do multiple explorations in a shorter period of time. So make sure you're doing multiple iterations as well, and your secondary research is on point. Moving on to level 2, which is a product designer one role in this scenario. At this level, you're expected to have a stronger sense of ownership. You're also expected to align your goals with that of the product and understand what the bigger picture of that product is. maybe till this time you were not able to see clearly because you probably did not have that kind of experience, but now that is expected out of you, that you foresee of what is going to come in the next 6 months, and how is that adding to the larger picture or the larger goal of the product. You should also try to develop stronger relationships with all your collaborators, be it the PM, be it the developer, or be it even the business teams, so that you're able to build influence of design outside the design team. Up next is a product designer 2 role. And typically, at this level, a designer is expected to work on multiple pods, multiple small pods, or a single large pod. However, in both these scenarios, you will end up working with multiple product managers, which means that you will be managing multiple stakeholders. You will be giving time to multiple stakeholders. You will be working with deadlines from multiple stakeholders. So first and foremost, understand how to manage multiple stakeholders, how to prioritize that with the time that you have. You should also now start to emphasizing on scalability, something that you have built for one particular project or a product. Can that be used elsewhere, and can you create systems which can be scalable for multiple different scenarios. And talking about systems, of course, this is also a very good time for you to understand and contribute to the design system which is in place. So there could be larger organizations where there is a separate team for design systems, but there could also be mid to small organizations where designers themselves manage design systems. So by the time you reach a product designer 2 level, you should have at least some understanding of how design systems work. As you gain more and more experience, you will reach the position of a senior product designer or a level 4 designer. Now, this is the first time you're entering into design leadership, so the expectations are definitely going to be high. As a senior designer, you will at least be expected to work on a large product area or a critical product area, or you'll be working on multiple smaller product areas. So everything that we've talked about, as a PD1, as a PD2 will apply here. But alongside that, you will now be responsible for bringing design opinion to the table, and you'll have to do all the pushback that we all talk about. You'll have to have stronger pushbacks, in PM meetings, in business meetings. Basically, you become an advocate for good design, and good design is your responsibility. It is your responsibility at all levels, but as a senior designer, it becomes an even stronger responsibility. Now, for any pushback to happen, you need to have context of both the users and the product. And at least from how I see it, a senior product designer should have the same level of understanding of the users and even so of the business as much as a product manager has. And in some cases, I expect the senior product designer to have even more context because we have a more comprehensive understanding of the user. And when you build this kind of visibility and understanding, you will be able to now take part in strategy, product strategy. So there could be items in the roadmap from product, but you need to now start adding your own items. As a senior designer, you should have a lot of design driven projects that you may have identified as an improvement to the existing process. And of course, as a senior designer, you are expected to now have some mentorship that you're doing for all the PD1s and PD2s in your team, and you start becoming a role model for them, that this is how good designers should work, this is how the processes should be, and this is what the quality is expected out of them. So you start setting benchmarks within your team. After senior product designer, there could be two directions that you can take. Now, this could also depend upon which company you're working for. But essentially, the next level, which is level 5, you could either take a lead product designer role or a design manager role. Now, of course, one is an individual contributor role, which we call IC in short, and one is a managerial role. Both have their pros and cons. So let's talk about a lead product designer. Of course, when you start using the word lead in your title, the expectations definitely rise a lot. Being a lead product designer, you're definitely working on a very critical part of the product or very important part of the product where there can be no compromise on quality. But as a lead designer, you have a broader responsibility now. You should be able to set up the right processes that should be followed by the designers and even by the product managers on how to collaborate with designers. And as a lead designer, you would probably be assigned a product where you will have a lot more control. in terms of what needs to happen or what needs to be done. So for that, you need to have strong influence out around you, and especially with your PMs, with your business stakeholders, they need to understand what you're bringing on the table. That is very, very important. And of course, as a lead designer, you will start mentoring junior designers, and there could be designers assigned to you, may not be reporting to you directly, but you start to get that sense of responsibility of their quality of work as well, because once you're taking care of a large product area, you would need support, and sometimes it is expected out of a lead designer to mentor or in some cases manage a few designers within that particular pod or a product area. Now let's talk about the other side, the design manager track. Now this is the first time you're doing something outside of design. You're doing people management. And this is going to be challenging at first because it will be very difficult for you to detach from design and just focus on managing a group of designers. But you know what? In most cases, you would have had the experience of being a designer for such a long period of time that you'll understand and empathize with what designers get stuck at. And if you use that knowledge, you'll be able to help your team better. I would also recommend that as a manager, you should at least allocate 20 to 30% of your time into doing IC work. Why? Because design as an industry is something that you have to stay relevant. And for you to give quality feedback to the people who are working with you, you should know Figma in and out. You should know every process in and out. And you should be able to talk about design at a very minute level and very pinpointed feedback. I've seen both of these managers. There will be one kind of manager who will pinpoint what is wrong but will never be able to come to what is right, and there will be another kind of manager who will wait. If the designer does not come up with that solution, they'll be able to do the exact thing that they want the designer to do. Of course, there will be different kinds of management style, and you could define your own style depending upon how the team is, or whatever style you feel close with. But I would always recommend that try to empower and try to get the best out of the designers who are working with you versus trying to micromanage them. If you give them a sense of ownership, you will never ever have to micromanage. Going to the next level, which is level 6, and there will be two tracks again. If you were in that IC track, you would probably be at a principal designer level, and if you were at a design manager track, you will probably be a senior design manager level. Now I'll talk about both these tracks. First, as a principal designer, most of it will be similar to what you're doing as a lead designer, but suddenly the stakes are really high. Your reporting might also change. You probably start reporting to the head of design if it's a large design team, or in a smaller design team, you may start reporting to senior executive level leadership. Also, that this also means that the kind of work that you'll be doing cannot have any scope for any kind of errors. Your work will continuously be high stakes or highly time sensitive. As a senior manager, you will probably start managing a larger part of the team, which means that you will now have a lot more product context in your head. Like, let's compare it to the previous level, which is a design manager. You'll probably be working with 2 or 3 products, but as a senior manager, you'll probably be taking a large chunk of the design team. Now, in that case, what happens is that you start conversing with a lot many stakeholders yourself, and your team also rises significantly. So here you need to understand how to manage your time better. You'll also be taking a lot of hiring calls, and you'll be setting up processes around hiring, that what interviews should happen, what rounds should happen. So all of this may start coming to you, or at least you will start giving feedback on these processes. So again, a very good opportunity for you to set yourself up for the next step, which is the design leadership level. Alright, let's talk about the last level in this video, level 7, which is design leadership. Now, designations here could vary company to company. It could be an associate director, director, AVP, VP, or chief design officer, but I'm going to combine all of this into a single level for the simplicity of this video. Of course, these levels could mean a lot of different things in different organizations or a large organization. But for this video, I thought I'll just keep all of this in the same level as the design leadership level. Now, at this level, you could be expected to manage a large part of the design team or the entire design team itself. So, what is expected out of a design leader? First and foremost, you have to be a great manager. And you need to make sure that high quality standards are maintained within the entire design team or the entire product area that you are managing. You also need to drive innovation and bring great design culture to the team. and you're going to be responsible for that. And for all of this, you also need to create strong visibility with the leadership and make them understand the value of design and what design brings to the table. Now, the collaboration that is happening between design and product and business, you kind of sit in the center of it and you need to make sure that the quality of collaborations are also very, very high. Designers are being used properly as a resource, and for that, you also need to make sure that critical projects have great allocation of resource. Your highest performing designers are actually allocated in the right projects at the right time. Along with all of this, you may also want to develop micro functions within the design team in case they are not in place. For example, if user research needs to be a function within the design team, you need to build that if it's not there. If there needs to be a UX copy function or an interaction design function or a motion design function, or let's say a visual design team within the product design team, all of that you are now responsible to make sure of that. You're supposed to make sure that the bandwidth within the design team is sufficient and you're not over hiring or under hiring. And of course, talking about hiring, you're going to be in charge of design hiring. So you need to make sure that all your positions are adequately filled. You're supposed to make sure for future predictions of what new positions could be opened up within the team, what new teams you need to set up, or what could be the roadmap going ahead in the next 1 or 2 years for the design team. So all of that, and I think there is a lot more that you can do a design leader outside of the organization as well. The kind of perception that you build for your design team outside of the organization is also important, because then it makes it very aspiring to join the team and it makes hiring as easy. Now that we have come to the end of this video, one rule of thumb that I would want you to have when you're trying to level up as a designer, try to get to at least 30 to 40% of the level that you want to get to, or the promotion that you're looking for, right? The other thing is, have this clarity. So these definitions that I've talked about is my perspective of how I understand these levels. These could be different at different organizations. Having spoken to a lot of designers in the industry, having interviewed a lot of designers, this was my understanding of it. Whenever you join a company, ask what is expected out of you, what is expected out of the next role, and how can you move to that role. All right. I hope this video was helpful. Hope this video gave you some clarity, and let me know at which level or at which part of the journey you are as a designer. Lastly, I would just say, don't chase behind designations. Designations will definitely come. It's not something to make a goal for. Try to create an impact as a designer. That's what we are all trying to do. If you're creating an impact at your level, and that impact is visible and valued at your organization, you will get through, you will get that promotion. And I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching this video till the end, and I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.